The scarcity trap, why your brain stays poor, and how to reprogram it. You work hard. You try to be smart with money. You tell yourself this time will be different. And yet, something keeps pulling you back. Not bad luck. Not the economy. Not the people around you. Something inside you. Something deeper. Something that was installed long before you ever made your first decision about money. There is a psychological mechanism that most people carry their entire lives without ever knowing it exists. Neuroscientists call it the scarcity mindset. Behavioral economists call it tunneling. The people living inside it just call it normal. But it is not normal. It is a trap. And today, we decode exactly how it works, and more importantly, how to break it. Let's start with what scarcity actually does to the brain. In 2013, researchers Sendil Mullainathan and Eldar Shaffer published a landmark study that changed how we understand poverty. Their finding was not what most people expected. They discovered that scarcity, the feeling of not having enough, doesn't just describe a financial condition. It hijacks your cognitive function. When the brain is operating under scarcity, it enters a state called tunneling. It becomes hyper-focused on the immediate threat, the unpaid bill, the empty account, the next meal, and systematically shuts down access to long-term thinking. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for planning, impulse control, and strategic decision-making, goes offline. Not metaphorically, neurologically. This means that the decisions that feel the most rational in a scarcity state, borrowing at high interest, spending on short-term relief, avoiding thinking about the future, are not signs of poor character. They are the predictable output of a brain under siege. You are not failing because you are weak. You are failing because your brain was never taught how to function outside of survival mode. Now here is where it gets more complex. Because the scarcity trap is not just about money. It is about identity. When you grow up in an environment of financial instability, your brain doesn't just respond to scarcity. It begins to anticipate it. It builds an internal model of the world where resources are always about to run out, where safety is temporary, where abundance is something that happens to other people. Psychologists call this a scarcity schema. It is a deep cognitive pattern, formed in childhood, that filters every financial decision you make as an adult. It shows up in subtle ways. The guilt you feel when you spend money on yourself. The anxiety that arrives when your account looks healthy, because some part of you is already preparing for it to disappear. The self-sabotage that happens right when things start going well, as if some internal alarm goes off saying, "This is not where you belong." This is not a mindset problem you can fix with a motivational quote. This is a neurological pattern that was burned into your operating system before you had any say in the matter. And recognizing it, truly seeing it for what it is the first step out. Let's decode the 7 patterns of the scarcity brain. Not as character flaws. As code to be rewritten. Pattern 1. Tunneling. The scarcity brain can only see what is immediately in front of it. The urgent always defeats the important. You pay the minimum on the credit card because the rent is due. You skip the investment because the car needs fixing. Each individual decision makes sense. The pattern, compounded over years, keeps you exactly where you started. The tunnel is not laziness. It is the brain allocating every available cognitive resource to the crisis directly in front of it, leaving nothing for the future. Pattern 2, the bandwidth tax. Every financial worry you carry consumes mental bandwidth. Researchers found that the cognitive load of financial stress is equivalent to losing 13 IQ points. That is the difference between a full night of sleep and none at all. The scarcity brain is not less intelligent. It is running an invisible tax that consumes the processing power that should be going toward growth, creativity, and long-term planning. Pattern 3, the present bias. The brain under scarcity dramatically overvalues immediate rewards and undervalues future ones. $1 today feels worth significantly more than $1 next month, even when the math says otherwise. This is why people in scarcity take high-interest loans they know will hurt them later. The future self feels like a stranger. The present self is the one in pain right now. Pattern 4. Scarcity spillover. The tunnel that forms around money doesn't stay contained to money. It spills into time, relationships, and energy. The person consumed by financial scarcity has less attention for their children, less patience in relationships, less creativity at work. Scarcity colonizes the whole mind, not just the wallet. Pattern 5. The abundance guilt reflex. This one is the most invisible. When the scarcity brain encounters a moment of genuine abundance, a raise, a bonus, an unexpected windfall, it triggers a threat response instead of a reward response. Abundance feels unsafe, foreign, like borrowed time. So the brain finds ways to neutralize it. Unnecessary spending, sudden generosity that depletes the account, decisions that return the person to the familiar state of not enough. Psychologists call this self-sabotage. The scarcity brain calls it coming back home. Pattern 6. Social comparison tunneling. The scarcity mindset is acutely sensitive to perceived inequality. It constantly measures who has more, who is doing better, who got the opportunity you didn't. This is not envy as a moral failing. It is the survival brain scanning the environment for threats to resource access. But it is destructive, because comparison consumes the same bandwidth that should be going toward building. Every moment spent measuring your gap is a moment not spent closing it. Pattern 7. The fixed pie illusion. The scarcity brain